There's a moment in history that honestly hits harder than any firefight. Not the sound of artillery, not the roar of tanks, but the quiet, relentless ingenuity that kept men and families alive during winters the modern world wouldn't even think of enduring. During the 1930s and 40s, across bombed-out towns, remote military outposts, and isolated farmhouses, people survived freezing nights with a heat system so effective it still, to this day, outperforms many modern solutions. What's really remarkable is just how simple it was. No electricity, no pumps, no sensors, just smart design, physics, and an understanding of materials that, well, modern engineers sometimes overlook. Before we dive into exactly how this worked, take a moment to hit like, share this video, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to Warfront Survival so you don't miss the next piece of forgotten knowledge that actually saves lives. This isn't nostalgia. This is practical, proven survival strategy. Passive thermal siphoning. Circulation without power. The heart of wartime heating wasn't complex machinery. It was clever use of gravity and natural movement. Passive thermal siphoning was the principle that kept water moving through radiators and coils without a pump. Heat rises, cold sinks, an elementary concept but applied with precise intent. Here's how it worked. The firebox where wood burned sat low, often at floor level. Directly above, a tank or coil of water captured the rising heat. Pipes sloped gently upward toward radiators or distribution points in rooms, allowing hot water to circulate naturally. Gravity handled the movement. The water released its heat, cooled, and sank back down to the firebox to be reheated. Entire systems ran on this principle. A single well-stoked fire could keep a home or outpost warm for hours, long after the flames had diminished. Modern systems, by contrast, collapse instantly without electricity or pumps. For survivalists today, replicating this is surprisingly straightforward. Copper or steel piping, arranged with just a few centimeters of rise per meter, will keep water moving. Even a small stove can generate a loop that maintains heat consistently, creating a self-powered, low-maintenance heating system. Thermal mass, heat that lasts. Circulation alone wasn't enough, you know. The next critical element was thermal mass. Back in the 1940s, radiators were made from cast iron. Floors, walls and stoves were surrounded with clay, brick or stone. Some setups even included sand-filled chambers or water barrels. The principle was simple, really: store heat where it can linger. Unlike modern aluminum fins or lightweight radiators that release heat quickly and vanish the moment the fire dies, thermal mass charges slowly and releases steadily. A fire can die down, yet the warmth persists, radiating for hours. In practical terms, this meant that a farmhouse could survive long nights with minimal wood, and a military outpost could remain tolerable even if resupply was delayed. Applying this principle today is, well, quite simple. Surround a wood stove with brick, stone, or even a few steel barrels of water. Build benches from masonry that capture heat and radiate it slowly. The effect is immediate. A wood stove that once felt fast but fleeting now becomes a sustained, reliable heat source. You don't need electricity. You don't need complicated controls. You just need mass. Convection channels, moving air without fans. Water and thermal mass are only half the story. The engineers of the 1940s also understood air. Cold air collects near the floor, while warm air rises. By crafting channels behind walls, underfloors, or inside stove surrounds, builders created pathways for air to move naturally. A cold draft pulled air in, it warmed along the way, and then exited near the ceiling or into adjacent rooms. The whole system was entirely passive. In Scandinavia, slow, gentle circulation was achieved with brick baffles hidden in walls. Over in the United States, wooden shrouds directed warm air towards sleeping areas. In Britain, through-draft warmers pulled icy floor air into heated chambers, distributing warmth evenly. Modern homeowners, can replicate this with minimal effort. A simple shroud around a wood stove, just a few inches from the stove body, with an intake vent below and an exhaust vent above, produces a natural, continuous airflow that dramatically increases efficiency. No fans, no electricity, just physics doing its job. When combined, these three principles, passive thermal siphoning, thermal mass and convection, produced heating systems that were nearly impossible to fail. Even in wartime, when fuel was scarce and electricity unreliable, these systems kept people alive. They didn't rely on technology that could break at a critical moment. They relied on physics baked into the very structures themselves. For historians and survivalists alike, these systems are more than just curiosity. They're lessons in durability, resourcefulness, and efficiency. By understanding the methods of the 1940s, you gain tools that work today, slow, steady warmth that survives storms, outages, and isolation. These are methods built to endure, and they still outperform many modern alternatives in off-grid and survival settings. You don't need a museum piece to apply these lessons. Build thermal mass around a stove. Construct a simple gravity-fed water loop. Add a convection sleeve to guide airflow naturally. Each element may seem basic, but together they create a system that modern convenience just struggles to match. You're not just replicating history, you're using knowledge forged under the pressures of war and winter to survive smarter and more reliably. History teaches, survival proves. Systems like these endured because they were practical, effective, and fail-proof. They didn't wait for electricity or automation. They relied on materials, design, and natural principles. If you found value in this breakdown, don't leave without subscribing to Warfront Survival, sharing this video with someone who loves history applied practically, and leaving a comment below with your ideas or experiences. We're uncovering techniques that outclass modern technology, one forgotten strategy at a time. Dive in, experiment, and let these lessons of the past heat your present.